I'm Gene Stewart. I'm 84 years old. 3 days ago, my wife Linda looked at a cruise brochure, then at our retirement account statement I left on the kitchen table and said, "What's the high score, Gene? Do we win?" And I had no answer. I'm sitting here in this big quiet house in Redwood, Joliet, and I finally see it. The money I spent a lifetime accumulating has won. It's not mine anymore. It's a trophy for a game I was playing alone. Let me tell you what happened. It started 2 months ago, on our 60th anniversary. The kids and grandkids, all 7 of them, had finally gone home. The house was still, just Linda and me. She was glowing. She suggested we finally take that Alaskan cruise we'd talked about for 20 years. You see, I felt that old familiar switch flip in my brain. Not excitement, but calculation. I started running numbers in my head. The cost, the market, the what if. Instead of saying yes, I did what I'd done for 40 years in real estate. I assessed risk. I told her, "Let's see how the next quarter looks." And I watched the light in her eyes, the one that had just celebrated 6 decades with me, simply dim. That was my language. Quarters, projections, prudent allocations. I thought it was wisdom. I felt proud of providing security. But speaking my language of spreadsheets to my wife's language of dreams, I felt a coldness then. I didn't know it then, but that coldness was just starting. A week later, it reached my grandson, Ben. He's 24, a craftsman like I used to be with my own projects. He was over, showing me his woodworking sketches. He was hesitant, but he asked for a loan, not a gift, mind you, for a professional planer. I saw his passion. It was identical to the passion I had when I started selling houses. And what did I do? I got resourceful. I drafted a formal loan agreement with a repayment schedule and a modest interest rate. I was proud of it. I presented it to him like the wise businessman I thought I was. I handed him the papers. I expected gratitude for my professionalism. He looked at that agreement, then at me. He said, "Thanks, Grandpa," in a flat tone I'd never heard from him. He folded the papers, set them down, and didn't take them. He hasn't asked for my advice since. In that moment, my resourcefulness wasn't wisdom. It was a wall. I'd offered a contract when he was asking for belief. I felt shame, a deep, quiet shame. But you know what I did? I buried it. I buried it under more spreadsheets and portfolio reviews, until Linda staged a quiet rebellion of her own. Our patio furniture was sagging. She wanted to replace it. For 2 weeks I researched. I hunted for sales, analyzed durability versus cost. I was waiting for the perfect financial moment. Then, I came home from biking one afternoon to find a beautiful new set already assembled. Linda said she'd bought it with her own fun money. She smiled at me. She said, "I got tired of waiting for the perfect financial moment to sit in the sun with you." Her words were gentle, but they hit me like a hammer. I was stunned. The isolation was building, you see. The tension wasn't loud. It was the quiet space growing between my principles and their lives. It all came to a head 3 days ago. I was at that same kitchen table crafting my latest portfolio review. The statement was there, that number I was so secretly proud of. Next to it, Linda had placed a glossy cruise brochure. She picked up the statement. Her eyes scanned all those digits. Then she looked at the brochure's picture of a glacier under a midnight sun. The silence was heavy. It was the heaviest silence of my life. She didn't yell. She just held both items. She looked me dead in the eye. Her voice was exhausted, empty of any fight. She asked, "What's the high score, Gene? Do we win?" And in that question, I saw it all. My life's work, my prudent saving, my wise allocations, to her, to Ben, to myself. It was just a game I was playing alone. A game where the score was the only point. The money had become a monument to my fear of not having it, not a tool for our joy. I had no answer for her. The answer was suddenly, horrifyingly clear. I went to the hall mirror. I didn't see a wise, charismatic 84-year-old. I saw a custodian, a caretaker of digits on a page. I saw a man who could bike 10 miles but was too afraid to sail a few. The hard truth landed right then. It hurt. It's not your money anymore if you're too old, too cautious, too imprisoned by it to use it for what matters. That truth, once seen, demanded action. So, for the first time in decades, I made a decision not from fear but from love. I called the cruise line. I didn't check the market. I didn't wait for a sale. I booked the suite, the one with the balcony Linda had pointed to. I used the money. Then I called Ben. I told him the planer was a gift. No strings, no contracts, just belief. I said, build something beautiful. The weight, that heavy, prideful weight of being the fortress keeper, began to lift. It's being replaced by a new feeling, purpose. I understand now. Security isn't a number in a brokerage account. Security is the feeling you get living fully with the time you have left. At 84, with Linda and our family, my money's job isn't to grow in silence. Its job is to create noise, laughter on a ship, the whir of Ben's new planer. It's late, but it's not over. And if you're listening, and you're my age or getting there, I need to tell you one thing directly. Don't let your money become a high score. That's the hard truth I'm living now. It's not your money anymore if you're too old to use it. Let me explain what I mean by that. It's not about being senile or incompetent. It's about being too rigid, too scared, too in love with the number itself to let it do its job. You see, after I booked that cruise and called Ben, something shifted in the house. The air felt different. Linda came into the kitchen the next morning. She didn't say anything about the cruise. She just put her hand on my shoulder while I was making coffee. That simple touch felt like an absolution. It had been weeks since she'd done that. But here's the thing about a lifetime of habit. It fights back. 2 days after I made those calls, I woke up at 3 a.m., my heart racing. I crept out of bed, went to my little study, and I pulled up that brokerage account on the computer. I stared at the new balance, the one after the cruise deposit, and that old familiar panic started to rise, a cold sweat. I started thinking, what if the market tanks next week? What if we have a medical emergency? What if I was reckless? I almost picked up the phone to cancel it all, to call Ben back and say there'd been a mistake. That's when I heard a soft sound behind me. Linda was standing in the doorway in her robe. She hadn't turned on the light. She just looked at me, at the blue glow of the screen on my face. She didn't look angry. She looked sad. "Jean," she said, her voice quiet in the dark, "what are you protecting us from? A long life?" That question hung in the air. I had no spreadsheet for that. I was protecting us from running out. But running out of what? Money or time? At 84, which one was truly the scarce resource? I closed the laptop. The screen went black. "I'm sorry," I said. It was all I could manage. "I'm not asking for an apology," she said. She came over, pulled up the other chair. She took my hand the way she used to when we were young and making plans. "I'm asking you to be with me. Really be with me. Not with your ghost who's always worried about tomorrow." That was the second blow. The first was her high score question. This one was gentler, but it went deeper. She was telling me I'd been a ghost in my own life. A presence, but not fully there. Always partly in some future financial quarter. So I made a decision, right then. I told her I was going to stop the weekly portfolio reviews. I wasn't going to check the market daily. I'd have our advisor send a quarterly summary, and that was it. The look on her face, it was like watching the sun come up. She kissed my forehead. "Good," she said. "Now come back to bed." The next test came from my daughter Sarah. She's my youngest. She called a few days later. She was planning a big family reunion for the summer, wanting to rent a lake house for all of us. Our 2 kids, their spouses, the 7 grandkids. She was nervous asking. She'd heard about Ben and the planer. She started explaining the cost, how she'd budgeted, how they could cover most of it. I cut her off. I didn't let her finish. I said, "Sarah, tell me the total. I want to cover it." The silence on the other end was so long I thought the call had dropped. "Dad?" she finally said, her voice thick. "Are you sure?" "I've never been more sure of anything," I told her, and I meant it. I wasn't just paying for a lake house. I was buying a week of noise, of chaos, of my grandkids splashing in the water and my grown children arguing over the grill. I was buying the memory of all of us under one roof while we still could be. That's when the new feeling, that purpose, really started to take root. It felt like crafting something. For 40 years I crafted deals, contracts, closings. Now I was crafting moments. And let me tell you, the yield on this investment is immediate. Sarah cried, happy tears. She said, "I'll send you the details, but Dad, thank you. This means everything." After I hung up, I didn't feel that hollow panic. I felt full. I walked out to the new patio set. Linda was already there, reading in the sun. I sat down next to her. I didn't think about the cost per use or the depreciation. I just took her hand. We sat there, not talking, for a long time. And for the first time in years, my mind was quiet. No numbers, no projections, just the feel of her hand and the sun on my face and the sound of the wind in the big oak tree. That's the shift. You have to understand it's a physical feeling. The weight lifts. The money stops being this separate, sacred thing you're guarding in a vault. It becomes a paintbrush, a tool in your workshop. You use it to paint a brighter picture for the people you love. You use it to build connection. At our age, what else is there to build? We're not building careers anymore. We're not building a reputation. We're building our legacy. And a legacy isn't a bank statement filed in a safe. It's the story your family tells about you after you're gone. I don't want my grandkids to remember me as the man with the impressive balance sheet. I want Ben to remember the gift of belief that helped his dream take off. I want them all to remember the lake house week and the cruise their grandparents finally took. I want Linda to remember that I finally learned how to sit in the sun with her. The money is finally doing its job. It's buying me back my life. It's buying me back my family. And that transaction, that's the best deal I've ever made. And that transaction, that's the best deal I've ever made. But you see, the old habits, the old fears, they don't just vanish. They wait in the dark. And they found me again just last week. It was a Tuesday. I was in my workshop trying to get back to crafting, just a simple birdhouse. My hands were steady, but my mind wasn't. I was thinking about the lake house deposit, the crew's final payment, the planer I'd ordered for Ben. The numbers started adding themselves in my head, a phantom spreadsheet. A cold knot formed in my stomach. "What are you doing?" the old voice whispered. "You're dismantling the fortress. You're leaving them vulnerable." I put down the sandpaper. I walked through the quiet house, too big, always too big, and I ended up in the living room. There's a bookshelf there, filled with photo albums Linda put together over the years. I hadn't looked at them in ages. I pulled one out at random. It was from the late 90s. The kids were teenagers. There was a picture of us at Starved Rock State Park. We talked about going for years. In the photo, we're all smiling. But I remember that day. I remember the internal calculation, the cost of gas, the park fees, the lunch we bought instead of packed. I remember being partly there and partly running a mental balance sheet. I was present, but I wasn't present. I kept flipping. A picture from our 40th anniversary. The kids had chipped in and sent us to a nice bed and breakfast in Galena for the weekend. Linda's face was radiant, and my face. I looked proud. But I also remember feeling anxious. Were they spending too much? Should I have just taken the cash and invested it for them? That's when Linda found me. I was just sitting on the floor, the album open in my lap. She sat down beside me, her knees cracking softly. She didn't say anything at first. She just looked at the picture. "We were so young," she said softly, tracing the photo with her finger. "I was such a fool," I said. The words just came out, raw. She looked at me surprised. "What do you mean?" I pointed at the picture. That weekend, I was worried about the money they spent. I was thinking about compound interest instead of this. I tapped the image of her smiling face. "I've done that for 60 years, Linda. I've been a ghost at my own party. I was there, but I was always somewhere else, in some future worry." She was quiet for a long time. Then she said, "I know." Those 2 words. They didn't hurt the way I expected. They just felt true. A simple, devastating truth. "You know?" I asked. She nodded, her eyes still on the album. "I always knew. When we'd be at the kids' soccer games and you'd get that faraway look. When we'd be at dinner with friends and you'd be mentally calculating the bill before it came. I knew you were with me, but you were also checking the locks on the vault." She finally looked at me. Her eyes were clear, not angry. "I loved you anyway. I just always hoped you'd come out and join us fully before it was too late." I felt my throat tighten. "I'm so sorry." "Don't be sorry now," she said, taking my hand. "Be here now. That's all I ever wanted." But here's the hardest part, the part that really broke me. Later that evening, Ben called. He was excited, his voice loud and happy through the phone. He'd assembled the planer. He'd already milled some beautiful pieces of walnut. "I'm making you and Grandma something, Grandpa," he said. "A keepsake box, for your cruise tickets or whatever you want." I tried to say thank you, but my voice cracked. After I hung up, it hit me, the full weight of it. This wonderful, talented young man had been afraid to ask me for help. My own grandson. And why? Because for decades I had spoken the language of deals, not of love. I had presented contracts instead of compassion. My resourcefulness had built a moat around me, and I'd called it security. I thought I'd been wise. I thought I'd been providing. But I'd been teaching everyone around me that everything had a price, a term, a condition, even family. I'd made love feel transactional. I went out to the backyard. It was getting dark. I sat on the patio set, the one she bought because she was tired of waiting for me. I put my head in my hands, and I cried. Not loud sobs, just a quiet, awful release. I cried for all the spontaneous trips we never took. I cried for the dreams I'd deferred with a spreadsheet. I cried for the help I'd offered with strings attached. I cried because at 84, I was just now learning the currency that actually matters. Linda must have seen me through the window. She came out and sat beside me. She didn't put her arm around me. She just sat there, sharing the silence. Finally, I said, my voice rough, "I wasted so much time." She reached over and took my hand. "No," she said, firm. "Don't you do that. Don't you waste this time regretting that time. We're here. You're here now. That's the point." She was right. That was the point. The high score wasn't the number in the account. The win wasn't dying with the most money. The win was this: sitting in the gathering dark, holding my wife's hand, finally understanding what the money was for. It was for freedom from fear. It was for creating joy right now, while our hands could still hold each other's. The money wasn't mine anymore. It never really had been. It was always supposed to be for this, for us, for them. The old fear whispered one more time, "But what if you run out?" And for the first time, I had a real answer. I turned to Linda in the twilight. "Let's go inside," I said. "I'll make us some dinner." And I did. I cooked without thinking about the cost of the ingredients. We ate at the kitchen table, and we talked about the cruise, about the lake house, about nothing important at all. And every dollar I'd ever saved finally felt like it was working. And every dollar I'd ever saved finally felt like it was working. Here's what I understand now, sitting here at 84. I was wrong. For decades, I thought security was a number, a fortress. I was so proud of being wise, of being resourceful. I built that fortress brick by brick, deal by deal, over 40 years in real estate. But I didn't see that I was locking myself inside it. The money stopped being a tool and became the master. I was serving it, protecting it, instead of letting it serve the life it was meant for. I learned that security isn't a balance, it's a feeling. It's the feeling of Linda's hand in mine on that new patio set, with no calculation between us. It's the sound of Ben's planer running, knowing I helped fuel his dream without strings. It's the anticipation of seeing all 7 grandkids splashing at that lake house. That's real security. Knowing you're connected, knowing you're present, knowing you're using what you have to build joy while you still can. The other kind, the number in the account, that's just fear dressed up as prudence. And fear is a terrible companion for your final chapters. So here is my direct advice to you, especially if you're my age or getting there. Don't make my mistake. Don't let your money become a high score in a game no one else is playing. It's not your money anymore if you're too old to use it. And by too old, I don't mean senile. I mean too rigid, too scared, too in love with the fortress to ever walk out the gate. Do this week. Pick one thing, just one, that you and your person have talked about for years. The Alaskan cruise, the trip to Italy, the remodeled kitchen, the donation to that cause you care about. Not the sensible, scaled-down version, the real one. Book it. Do it. Use the money. Don't check the market first. Don't wait for a sale. The market will always fluctuate. Our bodies won't. Our time won't. That memory you'll create, that's the only investment with a guaranteed return. Then look at your family. See who has a dream, a need, a spark. Your child, your grandchild, a friend. And help them. Not with a loan document, but with a gift. No strings, just belief. Say, build something beautiful. You will feel the weight of that fortress wall crumble. You will feel the purpose flood in. That's the money finally doing its job. It's buying you back your life. I know it's scary. That 3 a.m. panic still visits me. The ghost of the frugal, fearful man I was whispers about running out. But I have a new answer for that ghost now. I ask, run out of what? At 84 with Linda, what am I saving for? A fancier nursing home? A bigger number for the kids to inherit and then possibly fight over? No. I'm spending on life, on presence, on love. And you can't run out of that when you start giving it away. It's late for me. I wasted a lot of todays waiting for a perfect financial tomorrow that never comes. But it's not over. We leave for Alaska in 6 weeks. Ben is bringing over the finished keepsake box next Sunday. The lake house is booked for August. I'm using the money. And for the first time in 60 years, I feel rich. This channel, from what I understand, is about sharing stories like mine. Hard-won lessons from a long life. If what I've confessed here today, my pride, my fear, my late awakening, if it resonates with you, then I'd be grateful if you'd subscribe. Hit that notification bell. There might be more from an old real estate agent from Joliet who's still learning. And I'd like to hear from you. Leave a comment down below. Tell me, is there a high score you're chasing? A dream you're deferring? A fortress you need to walk out of? Your words might help someone else, the way I hope mine have helped you. If this story meant something, hit the like button. It lets the folks who run this channel know that these conversations matter. And share it. Share it with your spouse, your sibling, your friend who's also staring at a big number and an empty calendar. Maybe it'll be the permission they need. Maybe you have a story of your own. A lesson you've learned the hard way about time, or money, or love. There's a form in the description below where you can submit it. Your voice matters. Your experience could be the light for someone else walking a dark road. A book that helped me start to shift my thinking is Being Mortal by Atul Gawande. It's not about money, really. It's about what makes life worth living, especially at the end. There's a link for it below if you're interested. Don't be like I was. Don't let your wisdom become a cage. Don't let your resourcefulness build walls. Your money is a tool. Your time is the currency. And the people you love are the only treasure. Start spending accordingly, today.